Hello, folks. This is Joe from MIGeekScene. I'm at Fantasticon standing next to actor, producer, director, songwriter, singer, and there's so many more credits to this guy. Jeremy London, you may know him from Seventh Heaven, Party of Five, Mallrats, upcoming movie Mallrats 2, which we'll touch upon.
Yes.
Jeremy, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic, man. I can't complain.
Is this your first time to Lansing?
This is my first time to Lansing. I've been to Michigan. I did a play at the Barn Theater, but this is only my second time to Michigan, and I love it here, man. Everybody's really lovely up here.
Well, the majority of us try. I can't vouch for everyone because
that's anywhere though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, as I alluded to earlier when I was doing the introduction for you, the lengthy introduction, and no, I'm not blowing smoke. You know, you're a singer and a songwriter. When I was looking up stuff on you,
I do. I dabble, I suppose.
Well, you just seem to hang out with your acoustic guitar and write songs.
I do.
That are lyrically, they hit home.
Thank you.
So, since you've been doing music, influences, sir? Because I thought maybe you possibly had a country influence.
I have a lot of. I grew up on country music, really. My dad and my grandfather both were country western singers and songwriters.
Oh, really?
I actually have a brother-in-law who is. His name is Felix McTeague. He's a really big songwriter. He's got a couple of songs coming out on Taylor Swift's next album, and he wrote Carrie Underwood's next album with her, and that's my wife's brother.
Okay.
So it's kind of in the family on both sides, really. But my twin brother and I write and play together. I prefer that, playing with him. He's an incredible songwriter. It's just kind of something we do for fun, though. It's nothing I really care to really ever try to make money on, because it's something that I just do because I love to do it, and it's my release and getaway, and I don't know. I don't want to make a job out of it, because then what would I do?
Well, do you have an axe of choice?
A what? A guitar?
Yeah, guitar. Okay. Your axe.
I thought that's what you were getting at.
Yes.
I have a Martin acoustic. That's my baby.
Okay, so you only just play acoustic songs?
Yes.
Okay. Not a Fender?
No.
All right, I know. This is going nowhere. I'm kidding.
It's all good. No, I'm just an acoustic singer-songwriter.
All right, well, we're actually going to delve into the movie realm.
Good deal.
I know a lot of people ask you questions about Mallrats, and I'll touch upon that a little bit later, but one of the another roles that you're known for, you played Sandy Pendleton in Gods and Generals. What was your experience like on that film?
Oh, man, it was the best experience I've ever had making a movie. Getting to play somebody from history, somebody that really lived, was not only an honor, but I really felt I felt the responsibility to make sure that I stayed true to the spirit of who they were, regardless of knowing them personally or not. I did enough research and visited his grave and all of this stuff, and I know that he was a very special person to Stonewall Jackson, so that must have made him quite a unique individual.
He was your right-hand man.
He was the only person that Stonewall Jackson referred to in his first name as Sandy, and he was Stonewall Jackson's right-hand man. And he was a real guy that lived and died a year after Stonewall Jackson at the age of 24.
Yeah, fortunately for you, art wasn't imitating life, because he only lived to 23.
Yeah, well, yeah, he died, just literally a year after Stonewall Jackson.
Shot in the abdomen and then passed away.
Yep.
Later on.
Sad. I visited the church where his Episcopalian father was the preacher, and also in the movie his father was the one who's the leader of the people with the cannons and everything, guy with the big white beard, great guy. But his father was an Episcopalian preacher, and when I went to the church where his father presided, and there's a stained glass window in memoriam to the character that I was playing, to Captain Sandy Pendleton. It was that was really moving. I actually got a little teary. It was weird, It was like, this guy's really real. He really lived and affected people so greatly that there's a stained glass window to the guy.
One can actually only hope for that.
Yeah, of course.
If that's your thing.
He clearly had an effect on people's lives, and that's pretty neat.
That actually would be the better way to go about looking at it. Not like I need a monument erected in my honor, but to have a positive effect on people.
Yeah, I think that's really, I don't need monuments. I would just like, for people to remember me for being a good person.
Good memories?
Yeah.
I could totally agree with that. Well, you've been in a slew of movies, but one of the movies that stood out to me was Alien Opponent with Roddy Piper Mayhew, rest in peace.
Yeah, Roddy.
What was your experience like on that film?
I got to become friends with Roddy Piper, man. That's why I did it. That's the only reason I did it. That movie's horrible, but it's got a place. It's kind of silly and fun. It is. There's got a fun element to it, and it was a fun character to play. But I did it because I love Roddy, and man, it was a great experience. Rest his soul. He's a good man.
Did you hang out with him?
A lot. He and I we pretty much hung out the whole time together.
I've seen the man once from a brief passing at a Motor City Comic Con.
Yeah.
He had a long line, so
Good
unfortunately
deal.
I did not get to talk to him.
He's a good man, good person.
And obviously I wasn't expecting him to pass away anytime soon.
Me either, man.
So.
Me either.
Well, you're also a director.
I am.
Your directorial debut was The Devil's Dozen.
The Devil's Dozen, yeah. You can get it on iTunes or Amazon.
What was that movie about?
It's a psychological thriller. These 12 people find themselves mysteriously stuck in this room all together, and they're kind of told that they have to decide amongst the group who the guiltiest people in the room are, sin-wise. And they literally have to execute them. And that every 12 minutes, if they don't execute the guiltiest person, the next guiltiest person, that just somebody was just going to die or get killed randomly. So it has that. It has a mysterious element to it, sort of a supernatural element to it. Really fun little movie. It's really cool.
And you also wrote that as well?
I co-wrote it. I mean, I helped put it together. My friend Patrick Durham and his wife wrote the initial idea and concept, and then I basically helped them mold it into what it became.
Okay, because
we were rewriting every day basically. As we'd come to the set and all of the actors together, everybody would get together and we'd spend like the first 2 hours just talking about the script, what worked, what didn't work, write new stuff that worked better, and then we would shoot it. So it was pretty collaborative.
Okay. Well, speaking of other things that you're going to be directing wise,
Yeah.
you recently had a successful Kickstarter for this movie
yeah.
called Monsters Anonymous. It's a short film.
Yeah.
What is it all about?
Well, we just I've got an acting school down in Biloxi, Mississippi.
I was going to touch upon
in
it.
New Orleans.
You've done this before.
Called the London Arts Acting Studio, and we have raised the money through Kickstarter to make a short film called Monsters Anonymous. And the story is basically it's the classic monsters, Frankenstein, and even the Bride of Frankenstein.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah, with Monsters Anonymous, the basic story is that there's all the classic monsters, Dracula and the werewolf and these guys, and they're all in a therapy session together because they're depressed over not being scary anymore. And it's hysterical. And then we've got zombies at the end and all kinds of stuff.
Is there a timetable for when that's going to be out? Because
well, we shoot in April, and so we'll put it together relatively quickly. So it'll be out by summer for sure.
And I certainly have to give credit to Jason Robbins and Wally Phelps.
Absolutely right.
The one thing I did like about the Kickstarter, because I found out about it after the fact, was that all the contribution levels were named after horror directors.
Yeah.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, thank you. I think that might have been Jason Robbins' touch even. Jason and Wally, they originally came up with the idea, the concept, and they had written like half of it. And I just was laughing my tail off going, this could be something, And so I came in and I just polished it up and added in a couple of characters and some scenarios and just and I put an ending on it to give it a purpose, really. And now it actually has a heart. Like the movie actually has like a really cool little story. But it was those guys that really came up with the idea. So, but most of my students are going to be playing most of the characters. And so that's what you get when you are a part of London Arts Acting Studio is we put you in movies. We don't just teach you how to be in them, we put you in them. So
that was actually going to be the next question. Like I said, you've done this before, these interview things.
a couple.
Yes. Would you like to talk more about your school?
Yeah, well, my wife and I have started an acting school down in Biloxi, Mississippi called the London Arts Acting Studio. We actually have classes in New Orleans, and we're getting ready to start classes in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
So we've got it in 3 states, all within about 100 miles either way of where we live. And it's just going really well. But, my vow to my students whenever I first opened the school was that, if you stick with us, and you do the work and you and become the actor that I know you can be, then I'm going to put you in movies, So that's a pretty rare thing to be able to promise. And thank God for Kickstarter because I'm already able to start fulfilling some of those promises, and that makes me feel really good, you know. So it's good for our school, and it's good for the coast of the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, and we're going to start trying to drive the film business to Mississippi, get them there. There's no reason, man. Mississippi's an incredible state, and especially around the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful down there. So we're doing it for a lot of reasons.
Do you have any other upcoming movies that you'll be directing?
I am in sort of pre-production on a movie that's sort of Civil War era that my a buddy of mine named Cy Parks is writing, and my twin brother Jason and I are helping him kind of polish it and sort of get it perfected or whatever. But it's his story, and it's a fantastic story, and like I said, it takes place during the Civil War time. It's not like Gods and Generals in the sense that it's about the Civil War, but it's the background of it.
Okay.
So we'll be hopefully jumping into production of that after we do Monsters Anonymous, hopefully, you know, if all things go well. But I try not to I put the cart before the horse, so
fair enough.
That's just our goal, and that is what we're working towards next.
All right, as we're wrapping this up, I would be a fool not to talk about Mallrats. That was my first exposure to you. And, dude, I really enjoyed that movie when that first came out.
Thank you. Yeah, Mallrats was a fun... It's great to be a part of the USQ world and Kevin Smith and those guys. But Mallrats, it failed miserably whenever it first came out. It took about 10 years for people to actually, like, recognize me from the movie. And now, 20 years later, it's more popular than it's ever been, which I'm thrilled about, by the way. But it is bizarre. It's wild. You know, who would have thought 20 years later I'd be dealing with a movie that I made 20 years ago?
And you're going to be you're going to be reprising your role as T.S. Quint in the upcoming sequel, Mallrats
cool.
2, tentatively.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. It's supposed to be happening.
All right. Since it hasn't happened yet, do you think Kevin's going to be timing scenes again with the stopwatch?
Oh, I don't know, man. He did it the first time. I don't know why he wouldn't. Listen, man. At the time, I didn't think it worked. I thought it was crazy, but it clearly worked.
Well, one last question on Mallrats. Will that kid still be on the escalator?
He's never gotten off the escalator.
He's never got off the escalator.
Get off the escalator!
Well, if folks wanted to reach you online,
yes.
How can they go about doing that?
You can find me on Twitter at Sir Jeremy London. Apparently, I've been knighted. Or you can find me on Instagram at jmlondon72.
All right, and as we're wrapping this up, what would you like to say to your fans throughout the years?
Just thank you for believing in me and coming out and seeing us and at these conventions and stuff like that. But more than anything, just, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.
All right, well, Jeremy, thank you for granting this interview.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, folks, this is Joe from MIGeekScene at Fantasticon with, once again, actor with a long list of titles and descriptions, Jeremy London. Take it easy, folks.